This is QTV News coming to you live from our studios on Kayaba Avenue, and I am Jenna Bosonko. Thanks for joining us. Now here are the main news headlines. Personnel of the Physical Planning Department on Monday embarked on a demolition exercise in Jabang of structures believed to have been built on waterways. The SOS Children's Villages celebrated International Youth Day 2022, focusing on young people taking the lead in things that directly affect them. Dealers at the Birkama Livestock Market are complaining of poor sales after the Tobaski Bonanza. And in international news, August 23rd is globally commemorated as the International Day for the Remembrance of the Slave Trade and its abolition. In sports news, the Janjanbureh Nawatan commenced on Saturday and saw team Yansita United FC facing SK United FC of Sankulekunda. Those were the main headlines, and now the news in detail. Do stay with us. Thank you so much for joining us. I am Jenna Bosonko and you're watching QTV News. Now, personnel of the Physical Planning Department on Monday embarked on a demolition exercise in Jabang of structures believed to have been built on waterways. In the wake of recent flooding, the demolitions are part of efforts to create easy water passage. Ali Sise visited Jabang and fastened this report.
Followed what these angry and disappointed compound owners say was short notice issued to them by the Physical Planning Department. According to the notice seen by QTV, the Physical Planning Department says the occupants have settled on waterways, therefore blocking the easy flow of rainwater, such as that which resulted in inundation after recent heavy rains. Ansumana Dabo and Abbas Bah, who are both affected by the exercise, say they acquired their lands from the Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation many years ago. However, it was never brought to their attention that the allocated lands were on waterways, not even after completing construction. They expressed disappointment with the move to demolish vast structures.
She said, how do I feel? I feel terrible. I'm just feeling terrible, actually. Because after spending lots of money in a house that you got legally, seeing somebody demolishing that is something beyond comprehension, actually. So that's what it is. We get the information like on Saturday around 5 p.m. Then Sunday, Monday in the morning, they came over to demolish the houses.
Do you agree that you are settling on waterways?
Well, I don't agree when I'm sitting on a waterway. If I'm sitting on a waterway, in fact, even if I'm sitting on a waterway, is that my fault? Did I allocate this place to myself? No, I don't. I don't care how somebody's going to define that. I'm not going to believe that. See my house, man. See, this is not a waterway. Well, if this is a waterway, they need to do their environmental impact assessment before they place people on a plot. That's not my problem. Let them even tell me that. They should have told me well before I even established over here. They even give me the plot.
Also here is Abbas Bah, who is also one of the victims. Abbas, I mean, you must be going through difficult times at the moment.
Yes, thank you very much, Aliu. It's true we are very stressful at the moment. We have a family here. I was called from work on Monday that these people gave a demolition notice. On Saturday and Monday they were demolishing all the fences. Then I rushed to come and see what was happening. And that's it. And so everywhere is down. And we are informed by the people that were demolishing that they will demolish everything that is here. In fact, at the moment, the people that are lodging, they are climate refugees, I can call them. They were displaced from their family homes and they were brought into these homes to be kept there. So it becomes more difficult again and stressful. So all that I'm saying to the authorities, let them do the right thing and look at the best possible means to redress this situation.
There is fear in this area among many residents, many of whom have received similar demolition notices. Among them is Musandau, who in a rather frustrated tune and surrounded by his young family, said he has no other place to go and urged the Physical Planning Department to reconsider the decision. People settling on waterways has been described as one of the key factors responsible for recent flooding, which followed a heavy downpour. Many of those affected say the action of Physical Planning is coming very late and could have been avoided if there was a proper monitoring mechanism and regulations were adhered to. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cisse.
Now, the SOS Children's Villages celebrated International Youth Day 2022 on Saturday on the theme Intergenerational Solidarity, Creating a World for All Ages. The celebration focused on young people taking the lead in things that directly affect them. Omar P. Jallo was there and has the rest of that story.
International Youth Day is observed on August 12 each year. The day aims to highlight daily issues faced by youth. It also raised awareness about certain barriers to intergenerational solidarity, notably ageism, which impacts the young and all alike. The global theme for this year's focus on what needs to be done to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. The National Director of SOS Children's Villages, Jean-Pierre Kwame, in his speech amplified the call for action across all SOS Children's Villages programs to raise awareness of certain barriers, particularly ageism.
The kind of challenges we were facing as young people are totally different. I'm very happy to have the drug enforcement services with us today, because this is one of the key issues young people are facing everywhere in Africa. I can talk on my own country, some examples, it might be the same here. I'm from Côte d'Ivoire, and through the last maybe 5 years, even children have the temptation of abusing drugs. They don't choose to start it, but some people are playing tricky to expose them.
Tijan Betts, the SOS National Youth Coordinator, said the day reminds us of a basic truth, that we need people of all ages, young and all alike, to join forces to build a better world for all.
With regards to issues that are affecting young people generally in our society, when it comes to the legal system, when it comes to the livelihood or the entrepreneurship part of it, and also with their responsibility as civil rights in the society.
The celebration brought together young people, the National Youth Council, policy makers, educationists, religious leaders, financial institutions, the media and other relevant stakeholders to discuss topics such as challenges facing young people in accessing finance, religious perspective in youth leadership, youths and drug abuse, achievements and challenges of the National Youth Council in supporting young people, and the role of the media in empowering young people, amongst other topics. The United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres' message on this year's celebration called on people to join hands across generations to break down barriers and work as one to achieve a more equitable, just and inclusive world for all people. As we celebrate International Youth Day, it is important to remember the global report on ageism launched by the United Nations in March 2021, which highlights the many data gaps that exist regarding ageism against youth. Despite this report, young people continue to report age-related barriers in various aspects of their lives, such as employment, political participation, health and justice. Reporting for QTV News, I am Omar P. Jallo.
Now let's continue to ensure intergenerational solidarity. Now from that, dealers at the Birkama Livestock Market are complaining of poor sales after the Tombaski Bonanza. They say they have very little or no sales for days. Omar P. Jallo again.
This livestock market was one of the busiest places in the lead up to Tombaski, when families were busy buying sacrificial animals. This time, there is no much activity, and dealers say they sometimes go for days before making sales, which makes it difficult for them to sustain their businesses. Alassana Sedikan, a livestock dealer who buys his rams from Senegal, said they are not making sales because customers are not coming.
Nina rajibe no science firo no akoliara bakele no because samako no mbengalo ne no kolga koliale no tentola jangino be yankulul alman siya jam bakele no nimbe on fanan kabonan bulalto ka samona janka wafi anu mbengalo ne no science dunia ba nyaming amantra easy ngino so kilianol fanan ka complain ko ngino bengo da koliara le you know but neo jibe non tol fanan ka boninan da ngino.
See how empty the place is. This is because people are not coming to buy. They complain of high prices. We bought the animals in Senegal with CFA, and the exchange rate is very high now. We pay transport, bought feed for the animals, And we are paying the night security too. All these expenses are what determine the prices of the animals. Fansu A.O. Fabre, also a dealer, said most of the animals on sale are imported from other countries. He urged Gambians to start rearing livestock, as this will help reduce the prices, especially during festivities like Tobaski.
At this time of the year, it will go more than a week. Even a single animal will not sell it out, so you find it very difficult. Most of the time, to get profit into it differs. Sometimes you'll have $200, $300 profit. But what can we do? We have to help each another, as we are Gambians. Because if you check, animals in the Gambia here is not that much. Or most of these animals, especially me, the ones I have, they are all coming all the way from Mali. Because me, I specialize on only one type of animals, that is sheep. And this sheep, I specialize on only one type of sheep. I only sell to people who normally rear rams and sheep in their compound, so that tomorrow they will benefit from it instead of going to the Lumos or coming to the Daral here buying it at an expensive price, so that they can minimize, then they can take their money, spend it in other things for the feast too.
Birkama Livestock Market is the Gambia's second largest after Abuko. The three main animals sold here are goat, sheep and cattle. Dealers say they buy livestock from neighboring countries in the sub-region, mostly from Senegal, Mauritania and Mali. According to them, the few customers that come here are those who are having programs like naming and marriage ceremonies and cultural festivals, amongst other festivities. Reporting for QTV News, I am Omar P. Jallo.
Now, from that story by Omar P. Jallo, we'll go for a short commercial break, and when we return, we have some more local news stories for you as well as sports. Do stay tuned.
The Ministry of Health, in collaboration with partners, will be embarking on another countrywide COVID-19 vaccination campaign from 11 to 28 August 2022. Vaccination teams will be deployed to public places such as community bantabas, health facilities, schools, markets, crossing points, and other strategic locations. All eligible people aged 12 and above are encouraged to come out and be vaccinated. Vaccination teams will be administering 3 types of vaccines, namely Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, and Sinopharm, all of which are safe and effective in preventing severe COVID-19 infection, hospitalization, and death. For more information, call the ministry's toll-free number 1025.
The impression so far about the Gambia.
The women representation in parliament quite limited.
It is a fact that the men have put themselves at a pedestal. Let me make it clear, don't waste your time in talking, because I have been in it. Most women who go into politics are associated with prostitution. Don't forget about that prostitute. And look at the car she's riding in. Where did you think she got it?
We went to Guinea. They denied us entry into Conakry. ECOWAS made an attempt. You speak to the ordinary Guinean and say ECOWAS did nothing. They supported a coup.
Today, if you look at our politics, it's money. Wherever you go, no matter how you look at it, it's money.
Most of the security issues we have is linked to corruption. So again, like I talk about fake news.
From 1975 to date, there have been lots of talks, but little has been done.
Today, you have multiplicity of radio and television stations in the Gambia because there is no Yahya Jammeh.
State of Affairs, airing tonight at 9 p.m. on QTV.
Now, welcome back from that short commercial break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV News, and I am Jenna Bosonko. Now, for centuries, mud houses have been part of Africa's architectural landscape. However, our traditional mud houses seems to be gradually fading away in rural areas, which may lead to the disappearance of an important representation of our culture. This story by Don Williams is narrated by Modu Gajaga.
Mud housing is common throughout rural parts of the African continent. In rural Gambia, there are distinct typologies of housing, with traditional houses characterized by having mud walls, thatch roofs, and open eaves, while modern houses have mud or cement block walls, metal roofs, and closed eaves. These days, as people get money to build, some still prefer mud houses, while many more now seem to prefer concrete ones. At Chalaljengen village in the North Bank region, we spoke to Jim Secker about comparisons between the mud house and modern structures.
The huts are colder, but putting up a mud house is harder and can easily break. During the winter period, a hut is colder, but now everyone wants to have a cement house.
Ami Sise, a resident of the village, also gave her views.
A hut is colder, but the house with the corrugated iron roof is of better quality, because the hut can be blown away by a windstorm, or it can collapse, making it inhabitable. For a house having a corrugated iron roof, if you put a ceiling under it, it can be cold.
In Jalaba village, also in the North Bank region, Hadi Gay shared similar sentiments.
We want to live in these houses and leave the huts. This is because a hut can easily catch fire. The houses with corrugated iron roof cannot easily be burnt by fire. Also, the huts are made of mud, which can be easily destroyed by excess water. Also, it is not spacious compared to the cement houses. This is why we want to abandon the huts.
Mohammed Kante, originally from Woolly East in the Upper River region, gave suggestions as to what should be done to maintain our traditional cultural homes as they are part of our identity.
Well, it can be modernized because nowadays the world is moving. As the world is moving, we move along. By preserving that, I would also prefer, like, if they can modernize the system, like upgrade it from the olden days to now, the modern days.
In most cases, mud houses are constructed with soil excavated from the same land where the house is built, which has inherent advantages, as it is extremely malleable and offers better insulation than steel and concrete structures. There have been attempts to modernize mud house architecture, but across Africa, fewer people are choosing this design, linked to our rural heritage. Mamadou Gajaga, QTV News.
Interesting story there by Mamadou Gajaga. Now from that, let's take a look at news beyond our borders. Now, August 23rd is globally commemorated as the International Day for the Remembrance of the Slave Trade and its abolition, earmarked to intensify calls for the total eradication of slavery and to promote the rights and freedoms of all, especially minorities. More in this report.
First celebrated on August 23rd in 1999 and 1998 in Haiti and Gorée Island in Senegal, respectively. International Day for the Remembrance of the Slave Trade and its abolition is globally observed in remembrance of those who were enslaved and to amplify calls for its total eradication. It also serves as a reminder of the horror and tragedy of slave trade. The day also offers an opportunity for collective consideration of the historic causes, methods and consequences of this tragedy and its impact on the political, economic and social lives of the most affected continents such as Africa and the Caribbean. The transatlantic slave trade is believed to have forcibly displaced 12.5 million Africans between the 17th and 19th centuries, and 10.6 million are believed to have survived the infamous dreaded Middle Passage, disembarking in North America, the Caribbean and South America. And as the world commemorates one of the most tragic events in human history, UNESCO's Director General Audrey Azoulay says it is time to abolish human exploitation once and for all, and to recognize the equal and unconditional dignity of each and every individual. Today, let us remember the victims and freedom fighters of the past so that they may inspire future generations to build just societies. The Gambia, like several other African countries, was also affected by the slave trade, as thousands were taken from there and enslaved. Even now, the remains of what were once slave markets and makeshift temporary slave detention centers can be found in some parts of the country, notably in Janjanbureh, formerly Georgetown. The Gambia's connection with the slave trade gained global prominence following the publication of Alex Haley's book Roots, which inspired the Roots Homecoming Festival. A film based on Haley's book touchingly tells the story of a young Mandinka warrior from the Kinte clan in Janjanbureh who was captured and transported to the US, where he was forced into slavery. Kunta Kinte's refusal to be subjected to inhuman treatment by slave masters made him a symbol of resistance against slavery. And to this day, his story is being told around the world, making him undoubtedly one of the most famous individuals of the slave era. Though slavery has been abolished and is frowned upon by most countries in the world, this undignified human activity is still being practiced in some parts of the globe. As of 2018, several countries were reportedly still practicing slavery. India reportedly has 8 million people currently enslaved. China has 3.86 million, Pakistan 3.19 million, North Korea 2.64 million, Nigeria 1.39 million, Indonesia 1.22 million, Democratic Republic of Congo 1 million, Russia 794,000, and the Philippines 784,000. The Gambia's near neighbor, Mauritania, has earned the title of slavery's last stronghold due to the widespread existence of descent-based racial slavery in the country despite successive abolition decrees. In 1981, Mauritania became the last country in the world to abolish slavery. Though slavery is technically illegal in Mauritania after being criminalized for the first time in 2007 and again in 2015, abolition is rarely enforced. If anything, these figures show a need for continuous advocacy against this inhuman act. Ansumana Esonyasi for KTV News.
From that story by Ansumana Esonyasi, now let's take a look at what is happening in the world of sports. Now, the Janjanbureh Nawetan commenced on Saturday, August 13th, 2022, and saw team Tiansita United FC of Janjanbureh facing team SK United FC of Sankulekunda. Ibrahim Ajala saw the action and fastened this report.
This will be the 35th annual community football session, which was introduced by the late Kebayero Mane in 1987. Mr. Mane was a native of Janjanbureh and the former Secretary General of the Gambia Football Federation. The opening match saw the teams go home with a point each. Officials of the Nawetan organizing committee expect this year's competition, for which 12 teams have registered, to be one of the best organized tournaments ever. Following problems in the past, officials have agreed to tighten the regulation, clamping down on violence by adopting sanctions for offending teams and individuals, as well as insisting on quality refereeing. Henceforth, any team found guilty of initiating violence will be banned from the Nawetan for 3 years. A similar punishment will be dashed out to individual fans, officials, and members of the public guilty of similar acts. Lami Jane, a committee member, explained that today's opening match was a success and said he was pleased with the turnout.
As you can see, the turnout was good, so especially the dignitary sides, because for the first time we are experiencing a governor coming to attend an opening game in our district tournament. So far we are so much happy about that, and as well as the dignitaries on the like of the MP, that's the Mr. Jato Jambe, who is in the House of Parliament representing our constituency. He didn't give the seat of being an MP. He just came and joined the youth in the preparation of this opponent. So far I'm so much happy. The ambience, the turnout, and the opponents as well. Peace was maintained, discipline. So I'm so honored to have a successful.
Sheikh M. Dhaba, first Vice President, Sierra Football Association, urged the youths to be patient.
Advice I have for the youths in the region here is to keep patient, because we know that football is out of problems. So the only thing we can do is to please unite, and the RFA is always behind all the committees who are organizing the tournaments, so that to see the tournament to be success in the region.
Umar Jame, the National Assembly member for Janjanbureh, explained that sport is one way of engaging young people to become more productive.
Actually engage our young people, the cream of the nation, to become more productive. So because of some of those facts, I want to believe that yes, I'll be more than committed to support sports entirely and in totality when it comes to my functions. And then also when I say sports, not just specifically football, but then I think it is really a need for we to look at other disciplines around sports that we can also support and empower our young people to become very much productive in their endeavors.
Football fans in the region are looking forward to what they hope will be an exciting competition. For QTV News, I am Ibrahim Jallo.
From that story from our regional correspondent Ibrahim Jallo, we will now recap our main headlines. Personnel of the Physical Planning Department on Monday embarked on a demolition exercise in Jabang of structures believed to have been built on waterways. The SOS Children's Villages celebrated International Youth Day 2022, focusing on young people taking the lead in things that directly affect them. Dealers at the Birkama Livestock Market are complaining of poor sales after the Tobaski Bonanza. In international news, August 23rd is globally commemorated as the International Day for the remembrance of slave trade and its abolition. And in sports news, the Janjanbureh Nawatan commenced on Saturday and saw team TNC United FC facing SK United FC of Sankulekunda. Well, that is all we have for you in this edition of QTV News. Do join us at 10 p.m. for another bulletin. Thanks for watching.